Julia Stewart is the chairman and the CEO of DineEquity, the name behind Applebee's and IHOP, International House of Pancakes. Julia, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate you stopping by. Talk a little bit right now just on the macro situation about how difficult is it to run a, I mean, not as if it was always very easy, you know, to run a restaurant business, but I mean, is it particularly difficult now that we're faced with almost 10% unemployment?
It's challenging. I think the reality is what people need to do now is what we always needed to do, which is run good restaurants, give great service, do all the right things for customers, probably do it better than we've ever done it before. But I really believe in this notion of brand positioning, setting a brand up for success, doing all the right things so as the economy does turn, you're first in line. All
right, let's talk about IHOP, International House of Pancakes. What is the status there? Same store sales and margins? Give us some details.
So we are 1,400 plus restaurants in the domestic U.S., about 400 franchisees, and we are 99% franchise. We have just one company market, and they're doing well. We're doing better than everyone else in the category, and frankly, better than most people in the restaurant industry. And a lot of that is because all of the work we did to improve the brand is exactly what we're doing this time with Applebee's as well. But it's setting it up, whether it's great food, whether it's great service, great marketing, ambiance and decor. We just finished remodeling the entire system with the help of the franchisees. So all of those things combined say to somebody coming in, wow, great service, great food, great price value. I can't wait to come back more often.
Talk about this whole strategy related to the franchisees, because this whole idea is really to make sure that the franchisees are the ones who own the actual restaurants.
Right.
And you don't want to be in the business of operating individual restaurants. You want other people with the sort of on-the-ground expertise to do that there.
Well, our strategy at DineEquity has always been to put it in the hands of operators who are on the ground every day, who have a passion and commitment, and we believe that's our franchisees. So clearly what we did at IHOP was to sell all the company restaurants to our franchisees so they could run them. We kept one market for R&D purposes. That is our strategy for Applebee's.
What's that market, just so we know?
Cincinnati.
All right, that's
Cincinnati,
where the R&D takes place. All right.
Right, for IHOP. Now on the Applebee's side, we have the 400 restaurants. Well, we owned 500 when we bought them, and we sold 108 last year, and we're in the midst of selling the balance. We'll keep one market, the Kansas City proper market, for ourselves, and the rest of it, it's our intent, for the right price, to sell to interested parties, whether they be new franchisees or existing franchisees. But the notion is, our strategy is to be 99% franchise, right? You take out all the risk, you also give the reward and the opportunity to your franchisees.
Talk about the credit markets right now, because if you're selling restaurants to franchisees, they've got to get access to credit in order to actually make a sale happen.
Right. Well, there's certainly credit opportunity. It may be with private equity, maybe with regional banks. It's a tough environment, not one that we can't work around, but it's tough in this environment to find the right mix of equity and you know, putting the right amount of capital in. But eventually we'll find the right buyers, and we'll do the right thing. But in the meantime, we continue to run them extremely well. The team has done a magnificent job the last couple of years of taking margins up, and yet having record service.
We'll talk about that, this whole idea of, you know, when you talk about the mix, it's the mix really also in the menu, because you've got to price the items. You've taken the margins up mainly because you've been able to make price increases stick to a certain point.
It's a small amount in price increases for the company operations, but really, if you think back a couple of years when we bought the chain, which was back in late 2007, margins were really very low back then. So really, the company operators get all the credit the last couple of years of taking those margins up to now, where we're guiding for this year 13.5% to 14.5% profit, where we were a couple of years ago a 9%. So if you really think about that, that's doing all the right things for the business, really leveraging the P&L, but not taking away anything from the guests, because we're having record service scores right now. It's terrific.
What about the different day parts? Are you seeing any shift mix there?
At Applebee's, it's pretty much stayed the same with lunch and dinner and late night. I think we have opportunities, but I think it's pretty much stayed the same. At IHOP, we've really seen the lunch day part go up from where it was, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago. And again, I think we have some opportunities with dinner and late night. But the real thing here is in frequency, right? We want guests in more often. It's not that they don't love us, it's that we need them to visit more often. And that's the real positioning, if you will, with everything we're doing now.
All right. I want to thank you very much,
You're
Julia
welcome.
Stewart, coming in, the chairman and the CEO of DineEquity, giving us a little bit of insight into the world of the restaurant business. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.